Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Moments That Define Us. My name is Iryna Barnett. We are back again at Denver Community Media. Again, shout out to them, amazing space. I'm here today on a snowy day to record another amazing episode with another human being that is doing great things in the world. Let's jump in. So today on Moments That Define Us, we have Michael Sykes. Michael, welcome to Moments That Define Us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here.
Yeah. So Michael Sykes, he is the founder of Equitable Solutions, and he also is the author of Easy Equity. So this is the book. I have a bunch of notes here. Let me move them. Easy Equity. I met Michael through my husband, Roy, because Michael does... Actually, why don't you tell me what you do with the school? Because you do a lot of work with them and also other organizations. So let's talk about your Equitable Solution, which you are the founder of, right? And the work that you do there.
So, yes, I'm the proud founder of Equitable Solutions, and we offer a lot of supports and services around building a culture of belonging, supporting leaders, adults, teams, organizations going through their equity journey. And so supporting with coaching, professional development to really make sure we're creating inclusive environments, in environments where the organization and the people within the organization can thrive.
Yeah.
And so I think you're mentioning what I do for work outside of my business is I'm the director of culture, equity, and leadership for Denver Public Schools.
Okay.
So equity and culture I live and breathe it.
In the center of what you do. I was looking at your website, and it says Equitable Solution provide transformative initiative that address systemic inequality and promotes cultural consciousness.
Yes.
Can you describe what cultural consciousness is?
Yeah, cultural consciousness is, I would say it's diving deeper. When you're conscious of something, you're intentional with every action or interaction you have with somebody. So you're willing to dive deeper to see how are they experiencing me and what can I learn from them so I can be more culturally competent in how I'm creating spaces and environments so they feel like they belong. Right. Not giving people what you want to give them, but giving them something that they can receive. So this also supports you as an individual when you're being cultural consciousness to evolve. Mm-hmm. So you can, in a sense, be intentional or creating a more inclusive world around you, and you're more conscious of doing things that other people will appreciate it so they feel like they belong and they feel respected, seen, and valued.
Yeah, because there are a lot of different terms. I feel like that people say, but they don't really know what they mean. Mm-hmm. And I do think that you did such a good job with this book, Easy Equity. And so I wanted to dive into the book, because in the book, which is really nice and what I really like, is that you talk about your stories. And then you talk about the work that you do, and you have different exercises that you bring in with your consulting and with your business. So let's dive in. Okay. Oh my goodness. Okay. First of all, look at this. Look at this. So this is how I read books. I have notes. I highlight. I have this ginormous highlighter that I highlight. And the reason I do that, because English is my second language, right? Mm-hmm. So sometimes I need to read it and then reread it just so it sticks with my brain. But Also because, when I hear something profound and when I read it and then highlight it, almost like writing it down, right? So it's like it really sticks with in my mind. But what I wanted to start with is this dedication that you wrote. And Michael, I have to tell you, when because we came to your book signing, me and my husband and a bunch of people from school where he works with, and then when I decided when we spoke at that event for you to come to the podcast, you so graciously said yes. And then I started looking at the book. When I read this dedication, I was sobbing, crying. You know why?
Why?
I might cry again. Because you speak about women in your life with such love and respect, and you really, through your words, you can feel just how the love that you have and how grateful you are that you have or had them in your life. So I'm not gonna read the whole thing, but I chose some like little things, right? And then once I read this, then we're gonna dive in and like kind of breaking down. You're getting a little emotional.
Yeah.
Tell me what's coming up for you.
One, that it resonates with other people, and that's what I want. To be in the heart space is where we should be. It supports us with taking breath and enjoying life, and those women in my life are everything.
Yeah.
They made me who I am today, and to honor them and for other people to see like what I wanted to express, it's joy. It brings me joy. I'm just happy right now.
Yeah, beautiful. It definitely resonated with me in so many ways, but let me just read. I dedicate this book to the top 5 women in my life. In no specific order, these women have shaped and shifted me in the way I can never repay. These women have loved me when I thought I wasn't deserving of love, and healed me when I felt I wasn't deserving of healing. Without these women, there would be no Michael Sykes. There would be no easy equity. These women have brought life into my universe when all has seemed lost. They have taught me how to shine and give me the reason to shine. My mom, Rosemary Sykes, is my foundation because she has given me life. She is the one of the strongest people you will ever meet, but you will never know her strengths unless you needed her unwavering love. My great-grandma, Alma Tyler, is the soul that resonates in my heart. She has taught me the skill of humbleness, preparation, and vision. My daughter, Neilani, who has and is my heart, has taught me greatness and softness that gives me courage to be me. My sister, Alicia Sykes, has taught me to sacrifice, love, and resilience. My sister gave up her childhood to make sure I was taken care of because my mother had to work to put food on the table and roof over our heads. My grandma, Elna Sykes, taught me how to listen, caretaking, and how to rest in my power. These women saw me way before I began to see myself. It's powerful.
Thank you.
It's very powerful because, and in so many ways, but I think because women are powerful. Women are everything. I mean, I am a woman, so I speak up for every woman, and I'm always going to be a girl's girl. But to hear a man talking with such respect about women, because, we live in a time right now where the people who sit in the highest power saying it is okay to disrespect women. It is okay to say hurtful things. It is okay to not respect us. and to hear more men write these beautiful words and do the work, it's great. So let's dive deep. Talk to me about this amazing women.
First of all, I think when men come into power or we're thriving in one way or another, some men say, "Oh, I did all this by myself," and that's not my story. My story is these women. I didn't. My daughter Neilani, she taught me tenderness in a way that I'm still growing from. That little girl loves me so much. I remember I was working three jobs and going to college. And oftentimes when I got home, I was studying and exhausted. And I fell asleep. And she was 3 or 4 years old, and she was putting a cover on me.
Oh.
And she would just kiss me and say, "I love you, Daddy." Like, those are the things when I say I didn't think I was deserving of love and received it anyway. Like, that's strength and that empathy from my princess. I carry that. My sister's toughness and her resilience and this determination is bar none. She has 5 kids, and where she is at now and what society said she would be are 2 totally different things. And she took care of me and sacrificed so much so I can have an opportunity. She didn't know I was going to be successful or not, but gave me an opportunity. And so I can never repay her for that. And she did all this with a smile and love with me. And I think some behaviors came out in school. And so when I'm in education and all these things, when I say this is who I am and I'm supporting kids or adults, it's because I have experiences and I'm trying to create a world where my grandkids thrive. And so I don't want the same experiences that I had or my sisters had to be in our educational system. My mom, I just love her. I played college basketball, and I graduated from Mullen High School, which is a private school. I will name that my mom never made over $17,000. Mullen costs about $12,000 to $15,000 a year. And so it was my second year in college playing basketball. I got back from Otero, and I see this letter from Mullen. And I was like, "Oh, cool. Maybe I get to play in an alumni game or something like that." And it said, "Congratulations, you just finished paying off your loan." And I was just like, this woman, where we're often on a fixed income, was able to send me to a private school, making less than $15,000 to $17,000 a year.
Yeah. Like,
when you talk about greatness and resilience, like being a parent now, I'm like, how do you do something like that? And she's like, she believed in me more than I ever believed in myself at that time, and made a commitment, bar none, whatever she had to do, hand me down clothes, not buying her clothes, like all these things so I could have a chance. She didn't know how it was going to turn out, but she believed in me that much that she's willing to risk her livelihood, her finances, her not going out, not doing anything for herself, just to give me a chance. And I used to think she was weak because she would clean up other people's houses, and she never, I felt like, fought back, and she accepted everything that everybody kind of told her, and like she was super passive to me. not realizing she had a different plan. Her plan was investing in her son, so she sacrificed everything else. So that's Rosemary Sykes. So I love her to death for that.
Yeah.
And my grandmas are just legacy and lineage. My great grandma taught me how to make sweet potato pie and peach cobbler, and to, in a sense, live off the land. And she was just strong, prepared. Like, crises are going to happen. Things are going to happen. She would fill up water jugs and put them in the basement. So it's like, if you've seen it before, it's a pattern. So prepare for it. And so, like, that's always been my thinking. I pick up on patterns fast, so I prepare often so things don't surprise me. And my grandma, my why, my purpose, my heart, she was a registered nurse, and she took care of elderly people. And I went with her to Chicago. All my family's from Chicago. And I would go there in the summer, and I was with her, and she was taking care of elderly people, and she would literally go into a room, and her spirit, her light would illuminate some of the elderly people, and they would literally rise, and you can see their light starting to come alive or illuminate, and like brushing their hair, talking to them, listening. I was like, Grandma, you have superpowers. And we did that for a day. And at the end, I was just like, how do you do that? How do you, in a sense, bring people to life? How do you put all that light in people? And she said, Michael, that's not only me, it's you. You're meant to help people. You're meant to bring light into this world. You're meant to help people that can't always protect themselves or can't always help themselves. So it's like this kind of service. And so she knew who I was before I even knew who I am. And I just feel like writing this book and taking steps, like I'm walking in my power, walking in my light, and honoring them every time I speak in love and light into people.
I love how beautifully you speak of all of them and describing this, the love and the power that they had, but specifically about your grandma, when you're describing when she would go, and take care of people, and you're like, my gosh, you have superpower. I think each of us in this world, no matter where we come from and who we are, I think we all want connection. We want to be seen. We want to be loved, right? Nobody's doing anything by themselves. We all need community. But what your grandma did and what she installed in you, she saw people. She saw them, right? She's not just, oh, this is my job, let me do this and get out. But she, like you said, she stayed, she listened, she brushed the hair, and then she brought you along, because you described how she brought you along, and you saw that too from such a young age. So that's incredible. And also, you talking about, being a parent. Don't you think that when you become a parent, it just changes you and your beliefs?
Yes, I tell people my sons saved my life. They literally did, because I knew I had to grow up and be better. My daughter taught me how to love, because once I saw her, I knew what love truly was. Because, yeah, it changed me from the moment I saw her. Something in my heart, something in my spirit. It was protection, but it was also this softness of, you have to be different, Mike.
Yeah.
In a sense, I think my journey was, I've always been a sensitive child, emotional, knowing my emotions, and as I got older, life happens and I hardened. And then when I saw her, I went back to who I knew I was meant to be.
You melt that wall.
I melted that wall. So at that moment when I saw her, I got emotional, and also I felt closer to my grandma because I knew I had to love more.
Yeah.
And so like it my kids changed me. Like they're the reason why I'm here today.
So you have a daughter and you have
Two sons.
two sons. Okay.
Yeah.
There is something special about a daughter and a daddy love. Oh, I see that everywhere. I see that with myself and my daddy. I see that with, Roy and my daughter. You have this, it's undescribable. You just see, when you're in the presence of a man who talks about the love of his daughter, it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. I wanted to dive a little bit deeper into you, if I can. Let's see if we can go there. So while I was also reading this this dedication that you wrote, so like I said, a lot resonated with me, right? But you're a very good writer, just so you know. But you writing a lot throughout this. Again, it's the page and a half dedication, but I see a lot. I wasn't deserving of love. I wasn't deserving of healing. My daughter gave me love when I didn't think I deserved. And so there's a lot of that. I am not deserving of that. Mm-hmm. Tell me why did you have that feeling, and do you still have it, or have you worked through that?
I think throughout life, oftentimes we're making mistakes, and I'll be honest. I don't think I wasn't always the best parent.
Yeah.
Or the best brother or the best son. And I didn't think I was deserving of that kind of love. Mm. And she said otherwise. I think, do I feel that way now? No. Because, and that's a lot of reason why I wrote the book, because 80% of self-talk is negative.
Oh my goodness. Yes. Why is it?
Because I think there's some societal norms and things like that, but I was tougher on myself. So when you hear me say I didn't think I was deserving, I was tougher on myself than anybody else.
So that was coming from you.
And that was coming from me and from loss and trauma. Yeah. I lost my grandma and my best friend within 3 months.
Oh my.
So I felt alone. Mm-hmm. So I remember after my grandma died, my sister moved out. She wasn't in the house. And so at that time, I had my top 3 women: my grandma, my sister, and my mom. My grandma passed away. My sister moved out, and my mom was probably depressed. She cried every single night. So I was alone. Yeah. And so I was internalizing that, of thinking I'm not deserving of love. And then I lose my best friend, Courtney, and I was heartbroken. And so I never poured into myself. I never had the opportunity to heal. And so the things that harm you as a child, you take into adulthood.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
And so parenting and having daddy issues and having mommy issues and all these other things, I didn't truly know what a man was. So I was acting like a man, not being a man. And I was parenting similar. And so all these things, not wanting to show love to my boys in a certain way, acting like I was all these things that I wasn't, had me to believe that I wasn't deserving a certain love.
You said something. You said I was I was acting like a man, but I wasn't a man.
Mm.
That, yeah, made me. I think there are, and that's what society, right? As a man, I think it's tough. It's tough out there because, we talk a lot about, women and our rights being taken away and all of that, but it's also tough to be a man because society tells you to be this macho man, to be strong, to don't you ever cry. And also I think our generation, I am 40. How old are you?
45.
45. So we are, kind of, and growing up, it was different for us growing up, right? Than it is now for our kids, right? A lot of the man, like, our generation and then older generation, right? We're talking how, I never got hugs from my dad. And so when you grow up like this, you're right. We take this to the adulthood. And then because as a kids, we don't know how to process that because we are kids. We can't express our emotion. And then it shows up in such a different way in our adulthood that if you don't work on that, like you really can hurt so much, if you don't work on those issues. But can I ask, because you talk obviously about women, and women made all of this amazing women you talk about made you the way you are. But then you said, okay, when I had my sons first, right? I didn't think I was good enough dad. And then I had all these issues throughout from my childhood, and I had daddy issues. How was your relationship with your dad, or how is your relationship with your dad?
My relationship with my dad is good. And so when I say I have daddy issues, I used to have daddy issues. Like I don't have those anymore. Mm-hmm. Do I talk to my dad as probably often as I should or want to? No. And I think it was me growing up and forgiving myself, giving grace to myself, and it allowed me to, as I reflected, I was able to take a different perspective. And I said, oh, my dad's all these things that I made up in my head. And then I had a perspective is like maybe he stepped aside out of my life because he didn't want to cause harm.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh. Instead of being a bad man, you turned into a man that had strength, that was willing to sacrifice and step aside to allow not to cause harm. And I was like, huh. And another perspective, I said, instead of him being a bad dad, maybe I was being a bad son.
Mm-hmm.
And I can take ownership of that. And I can change that. And I say, what does a good son look like? A good son reaches out and says hello.
Yeah.
And so I don't think I talked to my dad in a year at that time. But in that moment, I reached out and said, hey, how you doing? And so, like, I was willing to change. And as I started changing my mindset, my spirit, and my heart, things around me started changing. I started parenting different. Like, I talk about my top 5 women because there was a point in my life I looked in the mirror and I realized I caused harm to the people that matter most to me. And when I looked in the mirror and I didn't know who I was. I was wearing so many masks, trying to be so many things that I wasn't, and realizing I hurt my mom, my sister, my daughter. It was disgusting. But I got to a point after reflecting, I was like, Mike, who do you want to be? Okay, what's that next step to be that person? And I think a lot of times we're afraid to look in the mirror or to have a courageous conversation with ourselves because making a mistake doesn't mean you're a bad person.
Yeah, we all do.
So like what I say to that, I made a mistake. I'm not a mistake. Two totally different things.
Say it again.
I made a mistake. I'm not a mistake. And so then I was like, Mike, just because you made mistakes doesn't mean that you're not dope. It doesn't take away all the things that you are. Now you need to work on the shadow self and bring that to light. And so when I was conscious of seeing what I wanted to work on, I started to get excited because I was like, ooh, I get to work on something. I get to grow. I'm all about growth. So those things that I didn't like about myself started becoming excitement on things I get to work on. Oh, I get to be a better parent. Ooh, that's exciting to me. I can change my son's, my daughter's lives by working on me.
Yeah.
So I started working on me like relentlessly. I started reading. I started doing all this stuff so I can show up different. And guess what? They felt that. And so like looking in the mirror, it's tough to begin with, but when you're at your lowest, you're closest to yourself.
Yeah.
Because all the mask, all the rawness is there. And then you get to say, who am I? All right, cool. Ooh, who do I get to become? That's what excited me, because I had, in a sense, a reset, and sky was the limit. I could be anybody that I wanted to be as long as I was willing to be me. So I don't put on mask anymore.
You're just you.
Just me.
You're just you. You know, somebody said on an episode on one of the episodes, I interviewed this man, and he said, the most authentic thing you can do in this life is to be you, right? And that is so true. I wanted to also, one last thing on the parenthood. I think somebody said this recently, that when we are kids, when we look at our parents, we just see them as a parents, right? We don't see them as this individual person, that they also have hopes and dreams and things that they need to work on. So we, when they're not doing something that we think that they should be doing, like, oh, why aren't you that thing that I see, But often we forget, that our parents also were going through things too, their own things beside being a mother, being a father, all this other things. And so, now, like for me, now that I'm older, I reflect back on my childhood and how my parents were, and now that I'm a parent myself, I'm like, and now I know what I'm going through as a away from being a mother, right? It's like it changed my perspective of my parents. Yes, I had great childhood, but there were also, things that were not great. But I was like, yeah, my parents were going through their own things. You know what I mean? So yeah, parenthood is great, and it changes you forever. It changes you forever. It makes you work on yourself. It makes you look in the mirror and see, do I want to be this, or do I want to be different for me and my kids? I love that. Okay, so let's move along. So I have a few different things I wanted you to talk about and define, because again, you write very profoundly here, and there are some words that I wanted to get to. But first, tell me, what is Easy Equity? What is this book? Who did you wrote this book for, and what is the message you want people to get?
Easy Equity it's about going on your first equitable journey, and that's about how you value and validate self. I think DEI is off. And what I mean by that, I think they put the cart before the horse. Do you remember PEMDAS? Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. This is mathematical term, and it's about order of operations. So in a sense, you had to do parentheses, then exponents, multiplication, division.
I was bad in math, so
addition and subtraction. And I think DEI does everything outside of parentheses. And the parentheses is what you're supposed to do first. Value, validate, affirm yourself, self-love. And that's what Easy Equity is all about. Before you can value and validate others, you need to be able to value and validate yourself. You need to explore the depths of who you are first. And the more you know yourself, the better you're going to understand me. And value and validating yourself is sustainable. and it also builds capacity. And lastly, you're deserving of that love. We're just talking about parents, and oftentimes we put so much energy into our kids. We love our kids and we think we're giving them all, but when we're not whole, we're actually probably causing more harm than good.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people say you can't pour from an empty cup, and I agree. But what you should be pouring from is a cup that is runneth over. Pour in yourself, love yourself in ways that you never have, so your cup isn't just full. I want Easy Equity supports with your cup being more than full. So the water is running over. And that water that's running over, that's the water to give to your kids or to your spouse and to this world, to different families. And that's what Easy Equity is about, 20 strategies to support with your first equitable journey.
Beautiful. I wanted to talk about one specific, because you put different key terms, right? And one that caught my eyes was manifestation. I'm going to tell you why. I feel like manifestation in our world now becomes like this trendy word, right? You hear a lot of it. I am manifesting this thing, and it's going to happen, which I do believe in that too. But I think there is the difference between the true meaning of manifestation and this like trendy thing, right? So first of all, could you define what manifestation is?
To me, how I define manifestation is vision dreaming what you want and who you are in future tense. Mm-hmm. And I think people's like, oh, I just put these words in the universe. I'm manifesting abundance and things like that. But in my eyes, when I manifest abundance or manifesting who I am, I think about what that person's doing. What's their energy? What's their thoughts? What's their emotions? What are they saying? What are they doing? How are they acting? And I was like, okay, if they're doing that, if that's what future Mike Sykes is doing, how do I do that right now? Mm-hmm. And so then I start to manifest who I'm going to be because I'm already him when I do that action right then and there.
Yeah. So in the book, you say manifestation, so the practice of saying, writing / naming what you want and believing you are going to have it. So follow-up question on this. Because I feel like, and it's for me too, I wanted to better understand manifestation, right? Because you said naming what you want. So let's say, because you use the word abundance, right? Mm-hmm. So let's just go with abundance. So let's say I'm manifesting abundance for my future, right? And I said, okay, I am manifesting abundance. Let's say financial abundance, right? Okay, I manifest that, and then I think about that all the time, and I think and I'm believing. But what I want to know, and I think might be also helpful for other people, do you just write and think about it, or do you have to actually put the work in? Because like, you can just sit on the couch and say, I am manifesting abundance. I'm manifesting abundance. So if you can dive deep into this, because like I said, this word just caught my eyes, and I was like, okay, it's because you hear a lot, especially now, New Year, resolutions, manifestation. So
yeah,
dive a little bit deeper and tell me, because if I can, I don't want to, but maybe some other people, like, if I can just sit on the couch and manifest, I'm going to do that. But I don't think that it's that.
So thank you. What I would say to that, it's not about the practice, it's about practicing. Two totally different things. So the practice is manifestation.
Okay.
The practicings are all the actions to support with manifesting what you're asking for.
Right.
And so sometimes people they're like, God, please help me win the lotto. God, please help me win the lotto.
Yeah.
But never play the lotto. And it doesn't make sense. So it's not just about wanting something. Mm-hmm. It's about practicing the actions to support you with getting there. In order to manifest something, you have to change. You can't manifest something being the same person who you are. I'm not saying that you're not enough, but you got to shift. You got to change your actions, your spirit, your mindset, or something has to change in order to manifest something that you never had. And so if you want financial abundance, I would say, like, what does that look like, feel like, and sound like? Mm-hmm. And then based upon those things, how do you bring that into your life now? Do you want abundance of like home ownership or paying off your car and all these other things? Do you want to live comfortably? What does living comfortably look like? And so then when you're able to define it, then you know what you're being intentional with manifesting. Then you can backwards plan and take the first best step in order to get to where you need to be.
Right. All right, people. So you hear it. You can't just sit on the couch and say the word manifest, okay? You heard it here, moments that define us. All right, so moving on. Oh, I love it. Like I said, that was just the word that I was like, ooh, trendy. But you are not talking about the trendy type of word. You are talking about the real manifestation. All right. Next in the book, you write about racism and different like seen and unseen racism. So I wanted to read a paragraph from the book where you talk about racism. Racism is often thought of a perceived on a surface level. It's like an iceberg. What's clear to the eye may not reveal the depths of injustice. We can easily see the most pressing issues, such as police brutality, but may be unaware of under the surface racism, such as mass incarceration and redlining, and that Black and brown have to navigate. I wanted to go over some words with you and again unpack those, because again, you know, and I don't want to say we live in a time, because racism has been in this country since 450 years. So it's not a new issue, right? A lot of people, and I think especially a lot of white people, like to think that it's just, oh, because it's Trump in the office, that's racism here. He didn't create racism. He's just, I don't know if I can use the word manifesting it, or he is making it okay again. I don't know, whatever he does. But so during when we were in pandemic, when the police brutally murdered George Floyd, it was Black Lives Matter protests all over, not just this country, but all over the world, right? And then it was met with all lives matter. You know, you said Black, but all lives matter. So tell me, when you hear the phrase all lives matter, what do you hear when you hear that?
When I hear all lives matter, it makes me sad, to be quite honest. Mm-hmm. And for me, I was thinking, like, what do white people think that they're losing? Like, mm-hmm. Why? You saw this harm, you saw this, a man get murdered in the street, crying for his mom, crying for help, and it's met with all lives matter. And like, it got me thinking, like, that's like, there's so many moments moments that define us, that defining moments that led up to this book. And I was just like, that's resistance. And why can't you see the harm and hurt in the Black community? It's like, oh, because you feel like you can't even see all the harm that's inside of you. You can't see the trauma that's still resting with you. and you're trying to get Black Lives Matter, you're taking it as you're asking for grace and love from me, white person, or other people, and I haven't even given that to myself.
Yeah.
How do you get this love? How do you get to get validated? How do you get this movement? And when I don't have this movement, when I don't feel love, when I feel empty. And so it made me sad, to be quite honest, because that told me there's a lot of people that feel empty inside, that you can't see somebody else's struggle. And I was like, wow, that's Black people are suffering and white people are suffering too. And so that was a different, I know that's a different take. And when people say all lives matter, when people say Black lives matter, they're not saying white lives don't matter. They're saying Black lives matter too.
Right.
And so you're saying all lives matter? Yeah. And yes, in all actuality, all lives do. But we're asking you to be intentional with recognizing society policies aren't recognizing Black lives. That's what we're really saying. And what reflections do you need to do to see my humanity? That I'm a person. And the most equitable act that you can do is not to see my humanity and see I'm a person. I need you to see your own humanity.
Yeah.
Because this society, what's going on today or what's been going on, is not supporting you with seeing who you are and all the things that you want. So you're not looking in the mirror. And so in a sense, you're wearing a bigger mask than I ever have because you don't even know who you are. And so you don't know who you are. It makes sense that you say all lives matter.
Yeah. You know what? It's very interesting to hear you say Black people are suffering, but white people are suffering too. Because, like you said, how can you see my humanity if you cannot see your humanity, right? And it made me think about, all these books that are being banned, all this, what is taught at school and what is not taught at school, right? So my question for you, and so, sorry, let me finish that. So when they banning this, like when you can learn your history and really know what happened and try to be different, then you're right. People don't know who they are because on one side, somebody tells them, hey, this is racist. I'm not racist, I didn't own anybody. I'm not. No, but you are benefiting from everything in the society that was put in place, specifically in this country. So you're benefiting from it, right? Maybe you're not burning crosses, but you're benefiting from so many things, right? Like you mentioned redlining. All the white people benefiting from, homes and home ownership and all of that comes with it, right? And so, yeah, I think this country is trying so hard to hide it, to not, it's almost like, when you push stuff in the trash bag, you push, and it becomes so big, and then it explodes, right? Versus, let me take this trash out. It's not useful anymore. It smells. Let me get this out. So, and I feel a bit guilty even asking this question because it is not any person of color's job to teach white people because there's so many resources, right? But if I can ask a question, what can then people do to become better and to understand who they are? Because you said that they don't know who they are. So how can they see me and for who I am?
What can people do? I'll say this. Racism hurts white people more than it does Black people.
Really?
And
why do you say that?
Because it supports white people with losing their humanity. I'm not saying enslaved people, lynchings, and all those things. They're terrible, terrible things. And through all that, Black people have always kept their humanity. We have always loved. We always had community. So thus we will always exist, because the vibrations and frequency of love cannot be destroyed. When you lose your humanity, you lose love. And so what can white people do? Look in the mirror and say that you're enough. Say nice things to yourself. Give yourself grace. Give yourself gratitude. Appreciate you for you. Know that you're enough, but you had the opportunity to do better. What white people can do is do easy equity. Pour into yourself. White people are deserving of love too. They deserve to be seen. They deserve to be valued. And they need to be able to do it for themselves and not hustle to be valued and validated by others. That, when you're hustling to be seen by others, you're willing to do anything to be seen. You lose your humanity. You're willing to lynch people. You're willing to cause insufferable harm in order to get a pat on the back. You don't have to do that to be valued. You have value just because you take in air, but you have to be able to do it to yourself. White people are deserving of love, and when they're able to value and validate self, this world will start moving at a different frequency, because they'll start loving self. So then they'll start to have their humanity back. And so then when you love self and love all parts of you, you want other people to experience that. Then you're not hoarding something. I'm not trying to take anything from white people. I want white people to love themselves like they never loved themselves before, because people that smile, the people that have joy, create different experiences.
Yeah.
If you look at today, people are angry. So people that are angry create inequitable experiences for me. People that smile and that have joy and know themselves have a better opportunity, or more likely to see me in my entirety.
Michael, I have to tell you that you bring such a different perspective to this this issue that I've never heard before. So I really hope that a lot of people listen to this conversation and read your book, because again, that is a different perspective that I didn't think about, right? Because to me, I'm like, how can you, because I am not from here. I am white, but I'm not, I wasn't born here, so I had to learn a lot what America is, right? Because it was taught to me in my home country of Ukraine, a very different story that what America really is and what it was built on. But I'm like, oh my gosh, understanding the history, the KKK, the lynching, the Jim Crow, all of that. I'm like, it's something like, how can you? But now you're saying, now hearing to what you're saying, it makes sense. If you're hustling for somebody to validate you, then you're willing to do anything. And it's such a profound thing that you said, which brings us to equity, right? Because the next thing you talk about is equity. So can you define equity?
Yes, I see equity different. I think like a general term is providing equal access, people's success or livelihood, not being determined on predictive factors, race, color, gender, and things like that, and also getting what you need when you need it. What's equal isn't necessarily what's equitable.
Oh, that my next question. What is the difference between equity and equality? Because a lot of the times we hear we need equality. And what I think that we need equity, but tell me and the listeners the difference between equity and equality.
Equality is everybody's getting the same thing. Mm-hmm. So everybody getting the same schools and same teacher, or so on and so forth. Equity is getting what you need based upon who you are. Mm-hmm. So when you think about historically excluded classes based upon gender, race, and things like that, you had to do things different. Like, there's been over 400 years of slavery. So in a sense, like, and people being enslaved. So a lot of white people have had a head start. And so if you're going to be equal and somebody has had a 400-year head start, there's no opportunity to catch up. So being equitable would be doing something different so you can level the playing fields.
Yeah. I always think about, you've probably seen this picture when I Google equity, equality, right? And there is this picture of 3 boys, right? Mm-hmm. And the one is tall, so he can see, and then the one needs a smaller chair, and then the smallest one needs a bigger chair. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. That's like very famous picture out there. And my husband Roy showed, because I one time ago asked him, well, what's the difference? Because a lot of times you hear equality, right? But equity is very different, right? I wanted to again to read about how you describe equity here. Equity made easy is self-love. And again, we talk so much today about how you have to talk nice to yourself, be nice to yourself, see yourself for who you are, then you can see other people for who they are. And then you said, love is also legacy. Can you love yourself enough to change the world? So as we embark on this journey, no, you have already succeeded because you matter, not because you did anything. You matter simply because you do.
Self-love.
And how do you practice self-love?
How do I practice self-love?
Yeah.
I work out every morning. I don't think I got myself all the way together. I'm a work in progress. But that I know that pours into me. It allows me to release. It's also a time when I get to connect with my mentor. So I get my guy time. I don't often get a lot of time like that. And we talk about anything and everything. And I get to vent. He pushes me. I pushes him. And it just feels good. And it's also a time where I listen to a book on tape.
What are you listening to now?
Permission to Feel.
Okay.
And that allows me to grow. I'm big on, if I'm going to be talking about equity, I'm going to be talking about culture, and I'm going to be talking about people's feelings, emotions, and self-growth, I need to be doing the work all the time. And I like learning things. And so that's how those are some of my equitable practices. And when you're talking about the people at the fence, the kids at the fence, with the boxes, and some didn't have the boxes.
Yeah.
And I was my push on that was like, why are they watching the game from a distance?
You saw it very differently.
Yeah. Like, why aren't they participating in the game? So, like, yes, I get equity. I get I get equity and equality, but I want to be in the game. Yeah. I want to watch from a distance.
Mike, I will never see that picture the same again after you said it.
Yeah.
You're right. Why aren't they sitting on, like...
Yeah. I think they're playing baseball. I want to bat. I want to play catch. Like, I want to be in the game. Just don't ask me to sit at the fence and you give me a nice box or a ladder. Like, okay. I get that. That's a start. But I need to go to batting practice, or I need to learn how to pitch. I need a glove so I can catch these fly balls. Like, I want to be a part of the game. I don't want to watch from the sideline anymore.
Yeah, that is, like I said, that is such a good, such a different interpretation of that picture, because I was focused on the stools. But you're right, there's a fence. And we need to do more work so then there's no fans. They're in the game. Like you said, they're playing, they're going to practice, they're winning. Okay, we are almost at the end of our conversation, but because I have my highlighted stuff, so I wanted to make sure that I read these quotes because they're so good. He said, equity at its core is respecting, valuing, and seeing other. Equity matters not because of what one does or what one has accomplished. Equity matters because we all deserve grace and dignity. And again, you talk throughout this whole conversation, right, about your story, about the book, about what's happening in the world, is like, yeah, we all are deserving of love and grace and dignity and everything. So we have to work on us, on ourselves to love and value ourselves, you know. And then again, you said, before you can see and value others, you have to value self. You will become more equitable for others, but being more equitable towards yourself. My goodness. What is your advice for people who are listening? How do you start become more equitable to yourself?
It's a process.
How do you start? Where do you start, I guess? Because you've had a long journey, right? And as you said, I'm work in progress, and we all are, right? We are, as Michelle Obama said, we are constantly becoming, right? So how do you start on that journey?
What I would tell people is easier than you think. Little things go a long way. The first chapter in Easy Equity is gratitude for self. Write down 5 things that you're grateful for. Grateful for self for. 5 things that you love about yourself. Write it down. You're literally being more equitable towards yourself because you're recognizing your greatness. You can do that. Take a 1-minute mindful minute. A minute just to do some box breathing or inhaling slowly and exhaling slowly. Do that for a minute. That brings you to center. That's an equitable act. That allows you to rest and center yourself so you can be more strategic about your day. Sometimes people think they had to do all these things to be, to do equity. And I tell people, stop trying to do equity and be equitable. 2 totally different things. And the first person that we talked about several times is being equitable to yourself. So what does your heart say right now? How does your heart feel right now? I talked about FTE, feelings, thoughts, and emotions. How are those things doing right now? So when I ask myself, how's your heart? I'm saying it's full or it's hurting. All right, why is it hurting? Because of this. All right, work on that. Work on healing that heart and say nice things, affirming things about yourself. Like I said before, 80% of self-talk is negative. If you can go from 80-20 to 70-30, you're being equitable.
Right.
And that's just starting with saying nice things to yourself and recognizing all your superpowers and that you're dope. And that's what Easy Equity is all about. I want people just to smile more, to have more joy. That's what I want people to have. If this world has more smiles and more joy, this is a better place. It's a better place. And that energy can manifest through so much. The book that I told you about, Permission to Feel, they're saying like literally people that in a sense, affirm themselves. They say positive language. Well, if you speak light into yourself, you're more creative. It literally helps your health. It releases different hormones that support you in making you more creative, giving you more energy, and all these things. You can do that by taking 1 minute out your day and breathing, or taking 2 minutes out your day and writing 5 things that you're grateful for. And then that's a start, right? But if you do it for a week, 5 days, work week, or even 7 days, the full week, if you do it for 5 days, that's 25 things that you said about yourself that's affirming.
Yeah.
That's 25. If you do it for a month, that's 100.
Yeah.
That's 100 things. When's the last time you opened a book and saw 100 things that you love about yourself? A lot of people have never seen that. But when you see those things and you know you're having a bad day, now you know all those negative things are a lie. They're not true. I got 100 reasons why I'm dope. This is one. It's no comparison. So that allows me to move on faster. It doesn't mean I don't have negative thoughts and things like that. But when you affirm yourself and you write it down, now you have evidence. It's fact that I am all. I am whole. I am deserving. I am love. I am light. You have it. And so it allows you to get past those negative thoughts and allows you to move forward with light and love.
You know, I started doing something last year that somebody suggested to do a gratitude journal, right? So every day, and they said start with, I think it was like 25 days, right? And I started, and so every day I would say I'm grateful for, and it's simple things, right? It like you said, and I think we think that we have to do this big and grand thing, but it's just saying I'm grateful I have a warm home. Like that is something to be so grateful, because there's so many people that don't have that. That don't have food, that don't have, transportation, that don't have those like basic things, right? So to be grateful for that it's a huge thing to be grateful for. And so I started writing. So I started for 25 days and then I continue for 26. And now I am on almost 300 days.
Oh.
And it's, and you write writing it down. And when you look back, you like, look what I'm grateful. And it was not necessarily like, it was not for like, I mean, it is about myself, but it was just like in general, right? But then when you like, because we always, sometimes, we get in like, oh, I wish I had this, or I wish I had more of this. And you look and you like, I started reading, I was like, oh my gosh, I have so much.
Yes.
I have so much. Like my kids are healthy.
That's abundance.
That's exactly, that's abundance. And so, that is such a great advice. I interviewed somebody yesterday and she was saying simple things open the door for somebody. This woman, she created an organization who fights homelessness. And she's like, we think that we have to like do all these grand things. Give a meal to somebody, be nice. And it's like, it's this thing, be joyful, address somebody by their name if you know what, ask them what their name are. It's like all these things is like, because for us it seems so small, but we can we can change somebody's day. We can literally save their day. Michael, thank you so much for coming on Moments That Define Us. I've been looking forward to this conversation for a long time, and this book is really, really great to start reflecting and thinking about who each of us is. And how can we see ourselves? How can we be equitable to ourselves so then we can be equitable to other people? Okay, easy equity. I'm gonna put the link to the book in the show notes, and then when the episodes will come out, we'll spread it all over. But thank you so much, Michael.
Thank you for having me.
All right, everyone. This was another great conversation. I hope you took a lot out of it. But if one thing I want you to take is that be equitable to yourself, understand who you are, and love who you are, not because of what you do, but because of who you are. You are enough. We are all enough, regardless of what anybody tell us, what society tell us, and I'm grateful today that I get to have this conversation with Michael, because he's very insightful, and I hope you pick up his book and read and do some exercise. Michael has his organization, Equitable Solutions. So if your organization, your school, your place of business is looking for some equitable coaching, Michael can do that as well. On that note, I thank you for listening, and be kind to yourself. I'll see you all next time.